So, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's exciting World Conversational Menu, driving the future of cloud kitchens, organized by Gupshup and managed by Industry Live, India's premier event management company. It's honestly a pleasure to have you all with us today. Thank you so much for being here. Cloud kitchens, also known as dark kitchens or ghost kitchens, as we know, is a concept of delivery only restaurant with no physical space, no dining space, or takeaway counters. They have been rapidly growing in demand and are at high rise since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic. As per a report by Red Sea Management Consulting, cloud kitchens are set to be a $2 billion industry in India by 2024, up from $400 million in 2019. Many cloud kitchen brands of today have become a major household name and are immediately looked upon at the moment the hunger strikes. Technology has been backing these cloud kitchen businesses since their inception. The way they have taken the role of enabler is worth appreciating, as we would all agree. What else can be better when you have the power of ordering the food of your choice from home? To further enlighten you on the subject, Gupshup is proud to present a webinar on conversational menu, driving the future of cloud kitchens, organized by Industry Live. The webinar aims to provide insights on the power of technology in driving the future of cloud kitchens with the help of conversational messaging and social media, along with underlining the importance of customer data in providing personalized service to each individual. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to inform you that you can post your questions in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. We will be taking these questions at the end of the session. We would also be delighted to welcome comments as well as suggestions or recommendations from all of you, if you wish to take part. Also, meanwhile, do not forget to keep tweeting about the conference. So, without any further ado, let's begin with the very interesting panel discussion on a very important topic, which is taking cloud kitchen to the next level with data and conversational messaging. The session will focus on how cloud kitchens are taking their game to the next level by developing their business and operating models to meet the market standards and ever-changing customer demands, along with the role and importance of technology in becoming a major driving force in cloud kitchen space. Today, it is our complete pleasure to have with us the speakers of today's panel discussion. So I would like to introduce them to you all first. It's a pleasure to have Mr. Zorawar Kalra, founder and MD of Massive Restaurants Private Limited and judge of MasterChef India. Thank you for being here with us today. Also, I'd like to introduce Mr. Takpere, Vice President, Sales of Gupshup. Mr. Rahul Patil, Associate Vice President of Rebel Foods. Mr. Raymond Andrews, founder of Biryani Blues. Mr. Abhimanyu Maheshwari, founder and CEO of Zing Restaurants. Mr. Jahaan, Khurana, founder of The Rolling Plate. To moderate today's session, I would like to invite Mr. Hakuei Kosato, founder and managing director, Sushi and More, and India representative of Kikkoman. Thank you so much to all you people for being here with us today. It is a complete pleasure. To know more about the panel speakers, I would like to tell the audience you all can download the show catalog from the handout section. So, without any further ado, over to you, Mr. Harry.
Thank you so much, madam. Good afternoon to you. My name is Mr. Harry Kosato. I have been in India for the last 15 years. India is now my home, and I'm privileged to be speaking together with some amazing industry experts. It's an honor and also a privilege, and I'm humbled by the experience. All of us have been affected by the COVID-19, and cloud kitchens have come out strong. We have survived, and the industry is now looking to cloud kitchens as a new lease of life. And in fact, they're saying now that 50% of the cloud kitchen business globally will be in China and in India. And in that respect, there is a lot more possibility of India being more important in the cloud kitchen space. So first, I just wanted to start off by asking each of the panelists to kind of introduce themselves in about a minute. If I say 3 minutes, people say will speak for about 5 minutes. So just a brief introduction about yourself, just your name, what you do, please. Thank you so much. Let's start with that.
I'll go first.
Maybe we can start with yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much, Industry Live, for inviting on this particular panel, the panel of industry experts out here. My name is Ninad, and I represent Gupshop. I'm the Vice President Sales, take care of enterprise business out here. Looking forward to have a very fabulous discussion out here through the panelists, which are industry experts. I'm trying to gauge some of the key insights out of this. Certainly, I come from a supply side of the overall ecosystem, so I would love to put in my 2 cents in each of the discussion points out here. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Maybe we can start with I'm not too sure with how the screen works, but from Zorawar, so you can start maybe just to introduce yourself. I mean, you don't need an introduction, but just to say hello to everybody.
Hi, Harry. Great platform here. Good to see some friends already on this panel. I think the cloud is something that is taken the industry by storm. You know, there's always a silver lining in every crisis. There's an opportunity in every crisis, and the cloud kitchen has turned out to be the biggest opportunity that has arisen for the food industry as a result of this crisis. It's a very pure form. The cloud kitchen is a very pure artistic form. I believe that food is the ultimate expression of bonhomie and pleasure and culture. The cloud has, in a way, democratized the entire food space. A lot of people always wanted to be involved in the food business. They were passionate about it, but they didn't have the means to build restaurants. A restaurant costs 10 to 20 times what a cloud kitchen costs. So the cloud kitchen has, in a way, dropped the fruit even lower. It's within the reach of a lot of budding entrepreneurs. The cost to set it up are low. The potential is limitless because the costs are low. And I think it's really a very pure form of food. The product speaks. If the product is good, your business will do well. If the product is not good, no amount of marketing, no amount of facade, no amount of service, no amount of recovery can attract stickiness towards it. So I think the cloud is a very pure. If you spoke to me before the COVID, I would have said the cloud is it's a trend. It's a passing trend. But now I will say only one word for the cloud, and that word would be a phenomenon. So it's here to stay. It's going to become stronger and stronger. And I'm very excited to be a part of the burgeoning cloud industry.
Thank you, Zorawar-san. Thank you. Who would like to go next? Maybe Abhimanyu-san?
Yeah, sure. Hi, guys. I'm Abhimanyu. I'm the founder of Zing Restaurants. We run a bouquet of brands both in the offline and the online space. But before this, I was the founder of Yumist, which was amongst the first cloud kitchen, arguably the first cloud kitchen in India. I'm back in 2013, right? So I've closely followed the evolution of cloud kitchens across these 8, 9, 10 years, right? Well before applicators were there and sort of trying to build a company full stack, having your own app, having your own delivery guys, and to now where pretty much these constant elements have sort of become commodities and sort of they've been unbundled, right? So it's been an interesting sort of evolution. I've seen it closely, have had a ringside view of how cloud kitchens have evolved. Look forward to discussion.
Thank you. Then maybe the mix, Jahaan-san?
Yeah, hi. Hi everyone, my name is Jahaan Khurana. I represent the Rolling Plate. Rolling Plate is a food court of cloud kitchens. We run different brands called Ballu Bawarchi, OH02, serving North Indian and Chinese cuisine from all across Delhi NCR. We have 25 cloud kitchens in Delhi to start with. We started from Delhi back in 2019. And right now, been surprised by how the cloud kitchen space has emerged in last 2-3 years post COVID. So I'm very much new here when it comes to other panelists, but I'm looking forward to share some information which I have and learn a lot from all you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Jahaan-san. Then I think we can maybe get Raymond-san. Raymond-san, we met last week.
Hi, thanks, Harry. Well, I'm the co-founder of Biryani Blues. About 15 years of financial service experience before venturing into biryani. Both Aparna and I, my wife and co-founder, were basically from Hyderabad. Ate biryani probably 5 times a week. So when we moved out for our jobs to Bombay and then Delhi, we really missed the food, and that's how the idea struck. And we thought, why not take this great product out to the rest of the country? This was 9 years ago, before Zomato, Swiggy had become even known, right? So we at that time too, we were a heavily delivery business, though we had front end stores. Like Zorawar just said, you asked me about 3 years back whether cloud kitchens was something that would become large. There was no brand in reckoning. But now, coming to think of it, we were at zero cloud kitchens probably pre-pandemic. Now 30% of our stores, we partnered with Rebel, and we're expanding a big way through the distribution points in Rebel. But yeah, like I said, it's a very, very low entry barrier method for getting your product, which you might have already developed and probably have solved for all the nuances that are required to a lot of people, which traditionally would take a lot of time and capital. So yes, looking forward to an engaging discussion. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Raymond-san. Then we have Rahul-san.
Yeah. Hi, Harry. Hi, everyone. I'm Rahul. I'm part of Rebel Foods. I head category for Rebel Launcher, which is also the hosted and acquired brands team. A brief line about Rebel Launcher: we are creating a platform where other restaurants can come on board and scale up very easily through the cloud kitchen route. So, like Raymond mentioned, right? Scalability is very high in cloud kitchens, and we plan to enable restaurants to do exactly that through our platform.
Thank you, Rahul-san. So, an amazing, great energy from some amazing people in the industry who are doing different things. I thought I would just start off the panel discussion with a question that is on all of our minds: the love and hate relationship with food aggregators, our friends at Zomato, Swiggy, etc. Would you enlighten us? I mean, this is a very hot topic right now, but maybe some of you can start to speak a little bit about this tension, as well as the necessity of having food apps in the ecosystem in the cloud kitchen space. Over to you. You can go ahead.
That's a loaded question. I don't think anybody wants to take the first dibs at it. Okay, I'll go ahead and maybe start the conversation here. I don't think I think there is some friction. I think any kind of friction between entities can be resolved by dialogue and mutual conversation. The aggregators are actually doing a very, very good job of enhancing the entire size of the market. A lot of the efforts have been done by Swiggy and Zomato to increase the size of the market, to make the process very convenient, very frictionless. Go to a Swiggy or Zomato platform. It's a very frictionless process. Your card's already there. You put your address is already there. You order food and comes to you, within a prescribed time limit, and it's a fairly smooth process. On the other hand, there's also a big case for direct delivery. We at Massive Restaurants, for all our brands, use both the platforms, of course, and we have good relations with them. But we also are building a direct order platform very strongly. Two very, very good services. They provide direct access to your consumer. That engagement is crucial and absolutely essential for building a strong relations with your patrons, and also to get feedback. There's another second ancillary benefit, of course, of data. Some people would say data is perhaps the most important aspect of direct sales. And I would say, yes, it is a very, very important aspect. But in my opinion, the fact that you can engage with your customer directly, reach out to them for feedback, and perhaps occasionally promotional offers is a very exciting thing. So while the platforms will continue to, in my opinion, occupy the majority of the orders for most cloud kitchens in the future also, I think the direct order system is going to grow very strong. If you can do 30-40% of your sales through direct order, I think that's a very healthy number. We're definitely endeavoring to do that. But we also enjoy working with the platforms, and I don't think at this stage, at this nascent stage of a lot of the cloud kitchens in India, that you can depend solely on direct pay. But it's a very, very exciting thing. I only wish that the platforms would do a couple of things to make the relationship even better, reduce commissions, and give access to data. These two things can be accomplished, and you're looking at a great win-win situation. And they're doing that for some of the bigger players. So I think it's fair and democratic to kind of do it with others. But at this point in time, I think working with the platforms is a positive thing. I don't think we should knock them for it. But yes, the direct order system is also very, very beneficial to build your own database, to have your own community, to get feedback, to engage with your customers.
I kind of agree with Zorawar that,
Great.
yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, I kind of agree with Zorawar that, aggregators are super crucial to the entire sort of ecosystem. And if it's a choice between aggregator and direct, right? Direct is a play which is on the margins to my mind, right? Presumption that you can go direct and you can just add a layer of tech and start getting orders is a wrong presumption to my mind, simply because you have to realize what the aggregators have built. The core competence is delivery, moving packet from our restaurants to the customer, right? And that is not yet a commodity. Logistics is not a commodity. There are certain pin codes in the country where logistics is a commodity, where guys like the direct order guys, the tech platform guys can service. But for most of the country, right, this is not a reality. You cannot solve logistics. You cannot buy logistics off the shelf rate. This is the core competence of aggregators. They have spent billions of dollars. They're very intelligent people working on it, solving logistics. So that is what they have built over the years, and it can't be simply replaced. I can agree that there is a play for direct delivery, but it's on the margins. It's for sure. Zorawar has the pull of the brand where he has captive audience which he can sort of market his brands directly. There are certain pin codes in which he operates where there is delivery available. So sure, and it definitely helps with the margins, right? But it is not really a reality which sort of cuts across the length and breadth of the country. That's one. The other is, I think, this idea of shopifying, right? This idea of going direct with food. I think there's a category confusion there somewhere in terms of food and non-food don't exactly work the same way, right? Because food is not a winner take all. Today, if someone wants to eat a butter chicken, they would eat at my restaurant at Rangde Basanti Dhaba. Tomorrow, they can try at Farzi Cafe. And customers want variety. Variety is the spice of life, right? Spice is a food reference here in this code as well. But with direct, right? With food doesn't work with maybe non-food items. For instance, say you want your razor, right? Your razor blade. You can probably you choose a Dollar Shave Club and you buy it from there. But tomorrow you're not going to look out for any other brand, right? So direct to consumer brands work better in non-food sort of plays than food plays. I'm not saying it's a this or that, but I think aggregators have a sort of, if you can even get 10% of our orders coming in direct, that'd be a big win.
Maybe can I ask Rahul-san? Maybe you have some views on this.
Yeah, sure, Harry. I think I agree with Zorawar and Abhimanyu that aggregators are definitely important. When you start out a restaurant, right, nobody knows your brand. So definitely aggregators help you get that visibility and they help you get your business kick-started. And like Abhimanyu said, logistics is not something you can just buy off the shelf. Aggregators are doing that today. So definitely, there's nothing negative about aggregators. Definitely, aggregators we should be working with them. Certain practices that that we think can be improved is one is the discounting trend. There's a practice of heavy discounting, and if you don't discount your brands, you lose out. Obviously, great brands which have a great pull don't need to do that, but a lot of brands who are starting out is that is something they end up having to do, and I think that is one practice which can be curtailed, but otherwise, I don't think aggregators are anything. There's anything negative about working with aggregators.
Thank you, thank you. And maybe, Zorawar-san, you were saying that 30% or 40% is a good direct order percentage. Maybe may I ask, Raymond-san? I mean, you work with these aggregators as well. Does 30 to 40%, or um, anybody for that matter, is that a achievable goal? Have we lost them?
Sorry, was a question to me? I just couldn't hear you
Raymond-san?
clearly. Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Harry. Can you just repeat that?
Raymond-san, is 30, 40% an achievable goal for direct orders?
See, it depends. We are at that number because we also run a omni-channel presence, so we have a bit of takeaway and dine-in too.
We
So
can't hear you.
we are about one-third business.
You're on mute.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
No, I think I can hear him. Yeah,
Did you?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I'm saying that we are about a third of business on own channels right now. Pre-pandemic, we were about 40%, but that's also by the fact that we run a dine-in, a small dine-in part of most of our stores, right? So there's a takeaway and dine business, but to get to a 30-40% own channel business is going to be a uphill task right now. But coming back to the point that whether we need to swim against the tide or not, it depends on what kind of category of business you are in and what kind of model you are in with the aggregators. So if you are a 400, 500 rupee bill value, then trying to do your own delivery is actually not the most sensible thing to do. Right? But if you are at 1,000 rupee and above, it might make sense to actually start building a lot of your reliability or loyalty programs or getting the repeat customers and retargeting done to bring customers to your base. But if you are a QSR working at a 400, 450 rupee bill value, I would suggest that right along the way, keep doing your negotiations, keep making efficient marketing plans and co-creating it with the aggregators. And I think that's the easier way to go. And of course, the data and the I think it's right now computers and that discussion is going on. So we probably hope that somewhere there is some silver lining inside.
Yeah, great. Jahaan-san, maybe would you like to add to this discussion?
Yeah, of course. So I think to make it more simplified, we started delivering via Zomato and Swiggy. I mean, this is how we got to understand that any aggregator will come. Customers just have to do a click, and order will be delivered at their house or outside their door. So it is convenience over the service, which aggregators came into the picture. Now, you rightly said it is love and hate because a major chunk of the revenue is taken care by the aggregators, which is more or less by end of the day is taking the share. So we at the rolling plate, I mean, we try to get some direct orders by placing. Putting up some offers direct. If somebody orders direct at our place, then we give them some offers, or by putting up some thank you cards or something of that sort. Because we also understand that if we reach out to at least 10 to 15% of direct ordering, that will be a win-win situation in terms of commercials, in terms of revenue. So I understand. I think we cannot live without them at the moment, because they are doing a great job. At the same time, as Mr. Zorawar said, that we do not get the data from the aggregators, so that if we have to remarket to them. We have to reach out to them directly. We seldom are able to do that. So I believe, yes, I mean, love them or hate them, we have to live with them at the moment.
Great, thank you. One kind of side question to this is the aggregators themselves are starting their own kitchens. And in a sense, they're not only going to be aggregators who are an app sort of based business, but they're actually engaging in the business themselves. Do you have any thoughts on that as well? I mean, because, once they know everything, which is data, they will want to produce maybe food, which they can, and compete against the existing cloud kitchens, and any cloud kitchens will be coming onto another platform. Any thoughts on that, anybody?
Yeah, that's a very, very dangerous road to walk down on. That's the Amazon model. That's the Amazon model. I don't know if you guys have heard of this smart oven called June. It came out in 2012, was internet ready, was perhaps the best kind of oven you can buy. Amazon in 2015 invested in June, put a lot of money. I think they acquired 15-20% share. It became a unicorn, it became a multi-billion dollar organization. And in 2018, Amazon on their own platform released a competing product that had exactly the same features at one third the price. And through the algorithm, were able to place their product at the top. June didn't show up, and suddenly June was pretty much destroyed by its own investor. So that this is definitely a very dangerous path. I don't think a platform should engage in cooking food. That's not their art. It's an art. Making food is all about passion. It's about soul. It's a craft. You can't just pull a person off the road and expect them to be making good food unless they really care about it. So I think it's important for platforms to remain platforms. Will they do that? I don't know. Even if they are fighting in categories, I would suggest try and build a category rather than compete and take over a category, because that will create friction. And the whole idea of these platforms is to be frictionless. If you're going to create friction with your own suppliers, in a way, us, then people are going to start relying even more on order direct. So I think that's a dangerous path. I don't think it should be pursued with gusto. Building categories through the system is good. I don't think it should be done in a very aggressive way. It could create major frictions.
Thank you, Zorawar. Any other comments from the stage?
Yeah, just would want to add up to what Zorawar is saying, but I've got a slightly a different view on this. While I agree to most of the aspect which Zorawar was talking about. See, whether this is going to be a dark kitchen which has been adopted by the aggregator themselves and trying to build a new category, or within playing, doing a play within the same category, this is going to happen or bound to happen. That may have a certainty or not certainty, right? But at the same time, all the cloud kitchens currently, well, you look at it, right? They are competing within themselves. At the same time, there are restaurants which are larger play within the aggregated platform per se. Now, adding on top of it, if any of the aggregator is wanting to play the game which cloud kitchens are trying to participate out here, I completely agree. It could be a dangerous trend to be in. But most importantly, what I would want to put in a point across is that there has to be a larger preparedness which needs to be there within the ecosystem. Tomorrow it may happen or may not happen, but there is an ardent and underlying risk which is playing out here. So it is better to prepare for that this particular adverse trend and not shy away from that.
Yes. Great point. Thank you so much. Any Abhimanyu-san, anybody else points?
I mean, sure, it raises questions of conflict of interest and impropriety, right? I mean, we are trying to sort of build a relation of transparency, and there's always this relation building that keeps happening from industry to aggregator. So I think this sort of doesn't help on that front. But this idea of private labels, it's as old as anything really, right? The problem is, I mean, if you consider sort of these old big stores, American stores like Macy's, etc., right? They always had private labels. 30-40% what they would sell would be private labels. Even Walmart sells private labels, right? The problem becomes when sort of this offline goes through data online, which can be weaponized against them, right? And yeah, what really said, Amazon is doing with Amazon Basics, right? Pretty much killing off. I mean, the entire battery business has pretty much, I mean, Duracell and what has happened to Duracell just because Amazon Basics is just remarkable, right? So it's very easy to weaponize bits and data, which was not possible earlier in the offline world, right? And that is where it's problematic. I think there's a lot of work happening on the from NRAI as well, where they are sort of doing some competition commission. There's also already, I think, a petition filed with the competition commission, which they have taken cognizance of. So I think there might and there should be some regulatory sort of framework that should be put in place. I think earlier there was a cap of 25% of the total GMV could be from private labels and no more. I'm not sure whether that's enough or not, but definitely some kind of regulatory framework would be important.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments?
I think it becomes very important
Raymond?
for, yeah, I think it becomes very important for everyone to start focusing on building their brand and putting a lot more effort into becoming the choice for the consumer uh, because this is going to happen, whatever, right? But the brand is the only thing that sticks in the consumer's mind, right? He will probably want to have a biryani. That might be his first consideration set. And then if he's shown another brand, which might be a private label, but if he wants to have a biryani blues because of its uniqueness or its standardized taste and whatever he likes it for, right, then he's going to find out how he's going to get it. Right? Maybe not on this platform, maybe on another platform, maybe directly. But it becomes so much more important to actually build your own brand and put a lot of that marketing dollar into doing that.
Also, I think food is a very
Right.
different thing. It's not the same as an oven. Food is a very personalized thing. People like their brands. They like taste of a certain thing, and these aggregators are more engineers than artists, right? And the cloud kitchen brands are more artists than engineers. So I think it's a good
Agree.
hand in kind of a
Mm.
kind of a association where we create great food. They can try and emulate that. Will they be as successful? I don't know. Somebody, like Biryani Blues kind of product cannot be matched by most, and as a result, there'll be a stickiness to the cuisine. So I think, although it's different from what Amazon could potentially do, because food is much more personal and much more artisanal in its approach, but it's still a dangerous path to walk down and can lead to friction.
Amazing. Amazing. So let me kind of take the sort of um, uh, the panel discussion to a different level. Cloud kitchens, in a sense, there are people who started cloud kitchens, and there are people who started restaurants and then started cloud kitchens in the pandemic. Now, the sort of Amazon is now starting retail, for example. So, what do you think of this sort of the cloud kitchen business will want to have physical stores, which I think is a very interesting kind of dynamic. And obviously, they say cloud kitchens can never compete with the restaurant experience. But what do you think about this trend? Cloud kitchens to restaurants, restaurants to cloud kitchens, restaurants doing both cloud kitchens and restaurants, and cloud kitchens doing both cloud kitchens and restaurants. I think it's an interesting topic that I wanted some of all of your insights.
Right. So I think at Rebel we also believe and recently
Zorawar-san
come to believe.
or Rahul-san?
Yeah. Sorry. So I think we believe in more of a hybrid strategy. Where cloud kitchens have their own role to play and offline stores have their own role to play. Right. So at Rebel Launcher we talked to a lot of brands. Who want to come on board and scale up. A lot of brands are actually following the strategy. It is working for them. Having a mix of offline and online. Definitely, the experience varies, and but it helps them build a brand, helps them offer different experiences in different locations. That is something we are also trying to replicate with the Eat Your Offline core. And yeah, I think in our opinion, that is the way forward. That is something we are working towards.
Anyone else?
Uh, Sure. I mean, so my thoughts on this is that pre-pandemic or maybe pre-cloud kitchen phenomena, the lines between delivery and dining were blurred, right? Restaurants would always deliver food. or whatever, right? What has happened now is that there's been a sort of fork in the road where either you're a experiential restaurant or you're a functional restaurant, and you have to decide on day one what you are, right? If you're an experiential restaurant, people will go step out of the house and experience. You're a functional food first restaurant, right? Then there's no compelling need for you to for the customer to step out. He can very well sort of sit on his bed, turn on Netflix, and experience your brand via pressing a few buttons, right? So that sort of division is become more clearer now. I mean, restaurants which were selling Maggie earlier can't sort of survive having just Maggie on their menu, for instance, right? So Maggie restaurants would go away. That's one. The other is, I mean, there is a legitimate case to be made for offline presence for cloud kitchen brands, but more as a strategic marketing play, right? There is a clear online to offline strategy, but a lot of brands have, which puts a face to a name, because on a listing you are just a name, right? Which with the same fonts as everyone else. So there's a clear case to be made to have offline presence, but more strategically than actually physical stores, which are actually meant to sort of drive profits.
I want to add to this. I was a prime example of accidental cloud player, right? We were a hardcore experiential restaurant company that used to build big restaurants that were more experiential in nature, had good ambience, had prime properties, very heavy rents, all that kind of stuff. Then came the COVID, and I think all of us realized that there's a lot of uncertainty that could potentially exist going down the line. So we became accidental cloud players, and now we've embraced the cloud. We love the entire business. We love the democratic way that it exists in. For us personally, because we already have so many offline brands, we have made a conscious decision to not make offline stores for our online-only brands, at least for the foreseeable future. Like Abhimanyu said, there will be certain strategic locations that we might open one or two flagship stores. For example, Louis Burger has become popular, and as a result, I'm getting a lot of requests from top-line malls and other high street locations, airports. Everybody's literally telling us, please open a Louis Burger store. But I feel somehow that will dilute, the effort of the team and the ethos behind Louis Burger. Louis Burger was built to provide really good gourmet food to your house, and if you eat it live, it'll taste much better. So you're not gonna like the delivery experience as much. So I don't want that to happen. But B, I want to be focused. We have enough offline stores, at least in our case, one or two off locations of our cloud brands. Popular demand we might open. But I'm not going to be following the hybrid model at the moment. I'm going to stick to purely virtual restaurants that focus on the same ethos that our offline stores focus on. That is really good quality food, really good focus on ingredients, but then designed for home delivery. So in our particular case, we're going to stick to a virtual space and not blur the lines between the offline and online space.
I think that's very, very interesting, Zorawar-san, because I think there's a temptation from cloud kitchens to think, oh, maybe we can actually become like Zorawar-san and make a real restaurant. But the temptation is shall we say, going into minefield for a cloud kitchen, which is good at doing cloud kitchen business. But going to that a little bit deeper on that, Zorawar-san, do you think your business will become more experiential or more virtual?
That's the $1 million question. I can tell you this, that 50% of my bandwidth and that of my senior management team is now devoted to the cloud. So we've totally embraced the cloud. We love it. But the offline is never going to go away, and it's part of our DNA. In fact, not just my DNA or your DNA, it's the human DNA. Offline restaurants are the final bastion of hope for offline human social engagement. They're always going to exist. Not just now, 10,000 years from now, restaurants will continue to exist. Bars will continue to exist because humans love socializing. You could get a metaverse and you could put on a VR headset and it could be unmistakable from the real world, but it's still not the same thing. We're always going to love socializing. We're a very social place. So I don't think restaurants are going anywhere. But and also the beauty of what we've noticed now after the restaurants are fully opened up is that the cloud has not been compromised by the opening of the restaurants, and the restaurant sales have not been compromised by the growth of the cloud. I think they're complementary.
Right.
I think the competition of cloud kitchens is with the home kitchen. I think that benefits us all, right? It no longer is competing with the off. So my offline Farsi cafe is no longer competing with a Louis Burger or with an online North Indian brand. It's competing with the kitchen at home, and I think that's the beauty and that's the purity of the cloud business. It's very difficult to say which one you'll spend more time on, which one will be the future. I think both will continue to accentuate each other, complement each other, and not substitute each other.
I think it's a very interesting point. Now, may I just ask the same question to Raymond-san? Because I think you also serve your biryanis not only online as such, but you also have a direct stores. What are your thoughts as well? I mean, Zorawar-san really captured the moment, but what are your thoughts?
I fully agree with what he said. We, for one, have always been delivery focused. Our stores are very small. They are not dine-in focused stores, but the thought behind what we do when we do offline is that for an incremental rental, you get a signage which advertises you in that market, right? So it's not so much about how much of dining business you get, but the fact that you create an imagery in the consumer's mind when he sees the physical store that, okay, this is a larger brand, this will have certain hygiene and quality metrics in place. If there is an issue, I can walk up and talk to somebody right now, rather than chatting with a bot. So that's been our ethos of opening stores. So they're a little larger than a Subway. They're not very large. They don't serve alcohol, so the AOVs are not so large. They don't do a very high dine-in turnover. But for an incremental rental, we saw that there are tons of more benefits by having a small signage that helps in building demand fast. Having said that, I fully agree that the cases are very different. So dine-in is always going to be there. There is an experience. You will see the revenge eating out that's been happening in the last 3 months. I think to get a place in Aerocity or in Cyber Hub is just impossible on a weekend. So that's not going away in East. But if you see the rate of growth, I think the cloud kitchens will grow much faster in the coming years for two reasons. One is it's going to be easier for people to populate faster. Low capex, lesser of involvement in terms of service training and other stuff because it's all dispatch and the delivery is being handled by a third party. Right? So speed to market is going to be faster. So the rate of growth on cloud business is going to be much higher. But I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to the amount of dine-in and takeaway business that happens out there. At least not in the foreseeable future.
Right. Thank you, Raymond-san. Jahaan-san, do you have some comments?
Yes, so I agree to most of the things that being said here for the fine dine experience. So I believe the charm of fine dine, as Raymond said, rightly said, that it will not go away. We may think of cloud kitchen as a revolution. We may think that okay, it is going to be increasing with every passing day, but there is a lot of churning as well. When we check it on the vendors or the aggregators, we see a lot of restaurants and cloud kitchen shutting down. Instead of because, as I mentioned earlier also, because a lot of stuff is going to the aggregator as a commercial bite they take in every order. But so we started Roti or Boti. That's one of our fine dine restaurants we started back then, and we moved to cloud kitchen in the period of COVID and other things also that are manufactured. But I mean, the charm of fine dine restaurant is going to be there, but cloud kitchen is easy on and of course on open also. It is going to be multiple. So in a matter of year, we have opened 1.5 year. We have opened 25 cloud kitchens, and we couldn't have opened with that pace when it comes to a takeaway or a semi-fine dine also. So I think yes, we see a lot of more entrepreneurs going to try their luck in something called the cloud kitchen space, and fine dines are the same will be on the same page. Yeah.
I'll just add that
I
I
see.
think Rahul made a fascinating point. Can you hear me? Yeah, I think Robert made a fascinating
Yeah.
point about Louis
Yeah.
Burger that he would not want to do an offline store because that brings in comparison between his sort of this dark kitchen versus one. So once you have it live in a restaurant, you would sort of always be comparing it, right? And that's something to it's interesting something to think about, really. For us, I mean, we do a classic Indian restaurant, a dhaba, so to say. For us, how we look at a city is, say, we go to a new city, say, Bhubaneswar, right? We would pick the central business district, set up a physical outlet there, and then mop up the balance pin codes via club kitchens. And that's an efficient way to cover the entire city. But yeah, it's a fascinating point about not allowing the customer to sort of experience uh, the offline version of it, really. Yeah.
Yeah, Abhimanyu, I agree with what you're saying. It's a very
Mm,
interesting strategy, and I think it
mm,
really makes sense. Um, but like in our business, which is sushi, you know, it's like you can't eat sushi after 5 or 6 hours. It's got to be like very we like to sort of to make sure that it gets delivered within 25-30 minutes and it's consumed relatively quickly. But I think it's a very interesting strategy that Zorawar-san has said is that you keep online separate from experiential, which is an interesting insight, I think. Now, I just want to kind of this is a really kind of big question, and we've all thought about it, and it's about profitability. In profitability is why we're all in the business. Obviously, we're in the business of the art and soul of creating food, obviously. But at the end of the day, it has to be profitable. Now, cloud kitchens are profitable to some extent. Maybe, if I may use the word massive, cloud kitchens versus restaurants. Restaurants are massively profitable. What do people think about sort of the growth of this sort of, both the cloud kitchen model and the experiential restaurant physical model in terms of profitability in the next 10 years?
I can give some numbers for our particular use case. There are restaurants that are super performers, and then there are restaurants that are average performers. A super performer restaurant could return its money many times in a single year. So you could have 300-400% ROI as well. We've been lucky enough to have a few of those. A cloud kitchen model, on the other hand, can be equally profitable. And the best thing is that the return on capital expended is actually a lot better than any restaurant business. I am an offline guy, so I'm not trying to at all say that choose one over the other. That's not the point. The kind of profits you can make from a single high performing offline store are stupendous. You can have 45% of it does and generate a huge amount of cash. There are cash cow scenarios you can create. But the beauty of the cloud is that at very low cost, you can scale very quickly. Scale is the best friend for a business. In fact, I like to use the term blitz scaling. That's what we're going to do with our Louis Burger. We're already in 3 cities. We're going to grow very rapidly because we found that the model really works. We spend about 15 lakhs on one kitchen. That's, I would say, 5% of what you'd spend on a restaurant. And that one cloud kitchen is able to generate as much sales restaurant at a fraction of the cost. So the EBITDA margins, though, will never be as high as 40-45% because of various costs, because of the food costs typically being higher because of the commissions. But there are benefits. The occupancy cost of a cloud kitchen are always going to be lower than a restaurant. The personnel cost is always going to be lower than a restaurant. And these two usually, if they are within the single digits, you can easily generate between 18 to 25% EBITDA at the store level at a cloud kitchen. And another good thing about the cloud kitchen is that your typical overheads, your corporate SG&A, is not as high as you would require for a restaurant because it's simple. It's a less complex business. And I think the best businesses in the world are the ones that are simpler in nature because they are scale friendly. And we run these complex restaurants, and trust me, running a Louis Burger is far less complex than running a restaurant. And let me tell you, it's a more painless experience as well. So the return, you can have similar EBITDA if you normalize stores, but in general, the scale of the cloud is unparalleled, and the risks are much lower. What do you have to lose? 15 lakhs worth of equipment, pick it up and move it to another kitchen. You have really nothing to lose apart from the lock-in period and the security deposit that you might lose. So I think it's a very democratic and pure business because passionate entrepreneurs who don't have the capital can still fulfill their dream of entering the F&B space with much less risk. So in that sense, it's a very pure business, and I really like that democratic aspect of the cloud. They both have incredible EBITDA potential. Scale, you cannot compare. Scale of the cloud is going to be 10, 20x that of restaurants.
Amazing, Zorawar. Any other comments? Anybody?
Yeah, I think. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I
Go ahead. Go
agree
ahead.
with Zorawar that the percentage margin is not the only thing that we should look at, but return on investment is something that is really important. Plus the scalability, right? And profitability in a lot of instances is in the brand's hands. There are multiple things that we do here at Rebel to ensure that. One is we believe in sweating the assets. So whatever space we have dedicated, whatever resources, equipment, we try to build a menu around equipments, for example. So how best can we utilize the resources we have at hand? We end up running 2 or 3 brands from the same station, from the same space, which ends up contributing to more revenue and hence more profitability. So there are definitely ways to enhance profitability. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's about return on investment and what is the absolute money you are making in each cloud kitchen and multiplied by the number of cloud kitchens. I think that is something that we should also be looking at.
I see. I see. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think I would like to add that it is easy on capex and opex both. So yes, we can multiply easily. Now, as somebody mentioned that running multiple brands from one kitchen is also one thing people are doing in cloud kitchen. So we have come on to a experience where we do sharing kitchen with different brands. Like we're doing with Big Spoon, we're doing with a couple of other brands where we are hosting their brands in our kitchen in the cloud. So that makes dividing of the expenses and multiplying the revenue, which is a plus plus in cloud kitchen and can only be possible in cloud space only. You cannot do something of that sort in the restaurant or any other place. So I think in this way we have a winner which is cloud, and cloud space sharing model is something where we can overcome the expenses side of the operational expenses basically.
Great. Great. Raymond-san, would you like to add anything?
On the profitabilities, I think the metrics to measure for both models are very different, and it's more about scale rather than the percentage. And in cloud, achieving that scale is very fast is easily possible. Having said that, I think the food business itself is, I think the single way to get success in a food business is to get a lot of top line. So running suboptimal brands, multiple, if they're not getting to a certain size, right, doesn't make sense because all the other costs tend to remain semi-variable in nature, right, other than the food cost, packaging cost stuff. So you have to be clear as to how many and at what point you want to optimize. But it's a top line game, right? So the more you start doing out of that single location, be it offline or online, right, more and more your margins become better. So I think focusing on that is very important. For us to run a rolls company out of a biryani blues kitchen in the cloud, just add some tortillas and use the same tikkas, kebabs and start running. It's not going to be very difficult. Right, get you some top line, but we might probably be the 10th player in rolls in that category in that zone. Right, so you have to be sure of what you want to do and how profitable your business can become, and that I feel comes only with scale and top line in that category, because it improves also your purchasing power, your ability to negotiate various stuff with both aggregators or suppliers again for that brand.
Great. I think sort of profitability is obviously one big issue, but the other thing is scale. And I think Zorawar-san and Rebel-san, for example, have started um, to expand overseas, outside of the huge Indian market. And just a little question on this, and we'll come back to Nina-san a bit later, is how do you think India's businesses will completely remain more in India, or there's a tendency to wish to go out to foreign markets like the US, etc.?
Well, let me give you a little example of what happened literally yesterday. I was in Dubai over the weekend and I went to one of Rahul's kitchens. In fact, I went to two of Rahul's kitchens. And I went to the one in JLT and my mind was blown. I mean, a small little kitchen. All their Indian brands were there, including a new one that they've started overseas called Messi Burger, very, very exciting brand. And it was astonishing to see the number of orders. I mean, that one kitchen, I don't know if Rahul wants me to say the numbers out, so I probably won't say the numbers of that kitchen. They're very, very good, though. You should feel proud of those numbers. But the numbers are an order of magnitude higher than what you would get in India. So I think brands like his or mine have a huge potential overseas. Farzi Cafe is now in 9 countries, and the 10th one being the US, opening by midsummer. Some of our stores do numbers that are you cannot do in India. It's as simple as that. Our Canada store just launched 6 months ago. Will probably end up doing 10 to 12 million dollars in 1 year. So you can't really do those numbers in India. It's not possible. However, the within India, and as you said earlier, China and India are the two biggest markets for delivery on the planet. India is now by volume the second largest, and we're only 10% of China. So everybody else is behind us, but the whole world is our oyster. A good brand like Behrouz Biryani or Louis Burger should have the world as its oyster. Why limit it to the Indian geography? There's huge scale, huge scope within India. So I'm not saying go all over the place and don't be focused. I still think focusing on one market first is great, which is what Rahul and Rebel have done. They first conquered the Indian market. 200 kitchens, 85 cities. It's incredible. And then they've gone overseas. They've got 13 kitchens now, I think, in Dubai. And so it got me going. So now we're going to be tying up with Rebel to open Louis Burger kitchens in their stores in Dubai and other parts of the world. And perhaps, working with them closely in the geographies that we are in and they aren't. So it's a lot of collaboration kind of a thing happening. For strong Indian brands, I think the world should be the oyster. You should not limit yourself geographically, but don't spread yourself too thin. Don't go in 10 geographies without having scale in at least one.
Interesting. Very interesting. Maybe Rahul-san, do you have something to say about this?
Yeah, sure. So I think it is time that Indian brands start moving out. Over the last couple of 2-3 decades, we've seen a lot of brands from other countries come in here. But I guess it is time that Indian brands start going out. Like Zorawar said, for great brands, you should not be limited by your audience or your geography. The world is an oyster, and there is a humongous scope for Indian brands to do well out there. Fasos is currently in India, Southeast Asia, London, Middle East, and we are getting inquiries from countries as far away from South America and Russia who want to take on these brands into their countries. And why not? These are great brands. There is a lot of customer love for it. So why not go all out and go global? So definitely, Indian brands should go global.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Um, Nina-san, maybe do you want to add a few comments from your perspective?
Yeah, certainly. In fact, some of the major Indian brands have established their brand equity within Indian consumers, right? And India as a geography is fairly large. It's a much bigger market, which is yet not explored as much as it is required to do. But having said that, there's a clear opportunity in lookalike geographies, right? There is a tremendous amount of migratory population which is there, Indian citizens which are moved into close by geographies in MENA, It could be in African countries also, at the same time in Southeastern countries, where there is a significant amount of demand which is there for Indian brands to establish themselves. The cost economics could be different, right? Out here, it's not like software. I would say I am coming from that particular space where you make it here and sell it at much higher price or value elsewhere where there is a larger demand which is available. But yeah, looking at the cost economics and the kind of opportunities which are available, the consumer preferences which are quite closer to what you have been building as a taste and experience for that matter. If at all these metrics are matching up, then there is a great way of expanding the horizon and getting into new geographies.
There's some problem on my line. I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
We can hear you, Hari.
While we wait for him, why don't I ask for a couple of questions um, about EBITDA? I think that's what a lot of us are excited about. Harry-san is back, so I don't have to. Good.
Yeah.
He's gone again.
No, he's not. Yeah, go ahead, Zorawar.
No, I don't know if that's information we'll all want to share openly, but what is a healthy EBITDA margin for a cloud kitchen? I mean, that's it's a number that it varies, right? It's across the board. What would be a
Sure.
healthy, like, what a restaurant should do?
So, I mean, I was surprised by 20-25% margins. I mean, to my mind, a healthy margin is anywhere between 10 to 15%. A cloud kitchen is a penny's business. You save what you earn, and that is what it is. I think the important metric, and whenever I talk to investors also, right, they are always sort of hammering about why is the EBITDA margin so low. I think the important metric, which I think Rahul touched upon, is the payback. Is what you have to look at, right? The upfront capex is so low that what you need to look at is payback. And if the payback is comparable to offline, then I think you're in the game, right? So I think if you're doing anywhere above 10%, I think you are in the game. But I haven't come across any cloud kitchen doing 30-40%. Maybe there'll be these absolute outliers. Maybe a Louis Burger in a particular location does it. But I think on an average, 10 to 15% is a good margin to have there.
That's good insight to have. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it does vary, and I think it depends upon also how many different posts you can put in every cloud kitchen, right? You can have a nice box like what Rebel does. They have these 2,000 square foot kitchens, and there are 10, 12 brands working from there. So naturally, the ROI, the ROCE, and the revenue per square foot, and all those wonderful numbers investors love talking about, suddenly start looking a lot better. So I think that explains the fabulous valuation of Rebel Foods and the fact that they make great products. So I think this box model is also something that's very exciting. Put multiple pauses, get economies of scale and scope into every kitchen, and expand from there. I think that's the beauty of the business. It's such a pure, simple, uncomplicated business, but yet with unlimited potential. I think that's the beauty of the business in general.
Now, I have a question for you. I mean, this idea of sweating the asset, right? People talk about it, sweat the assets, right? And sort of maximize your assets and utilization, right? And that's, to my mind, is an engineering mindset, a top-down engineering mindset, and you sort of being the food guy in that sense. So what do you make of it, right? The idea of you can't build brands in thin air in that sense, right? I mean, is it that easy to just sort of sweat your assets? And I've shied away from setting up virtual brands so easily. So, I mean, yeah, your thoughts on it, yeah.
Yeah, so there are two ways to look at that. One is the Rebel model, where you build them with scale in mind, and they build kitchens, and then they are cloud kitchens. In my case, sweating the asset would mean converting or using an existing restaurant, an offline restaurant, for online business. And let me tell you, I've had very mixed experience with that. So to give you an example, we recently launched Louis Burger in Bangalore. It's become a rage, touchwood, overwhelming response. And one of the kitchens we used was the Farsi Cafe in UB City. That's a very busy restaurant. On a Saturday, you'd get about 700-800 covers. And Saturday is also the busiest day for ordering online. So it's creating a kind of a conflux. The kitchen is becoming overwhelmed. The food is not being able to be picked up on time. There are mistakes happening. especially the first couple of days, it's been ironed out now. But we've realized that it's not that easy to sweat the asset when you're doing an online and offline game unless the restaurant was designed with that in mind at the time of inception, which is not what we did. We never knew about the cloud. But going forward, and even while I was on this conversation with all of you stalwarts, I realized that in the future, if you really want to get great returns and sweating the asset aspect out of the offline, you should build an online element into the very design phase. Then it makes sense. So build a bigger kitchen, lose a few seats, do the math. If you're losing 20 covers, how much money does that 20 covers generate for you in a month? And if by increasing the kitchen, you can add two online brands, and the revenue generated by those two online brands in that same asset is more than the loss of covers revenue generation, then why not do that? So I think in that sense, retrofitting existing restaurants and sweating the asset is hard. But if you plan it from day one, I think it can work.
I agree. I think we, in fact, had to tear down all our kitchens. 9 restaurants, we tore down the kitchen because we realized that 50% of our revenues were coming from delivery, and there was no way out of it. So instead of actually opening new kitchens, what we did was pretty much redesign our entire kitchens from scratch.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the journey that Rebel went through. Earlier there were Fasos outlets, there were QSRs, and 2015-16 we went to a single brand cloud kitchen, and that is where we realized that we could actually sweat the assets, start multiple brands from this space, and it took 2 to 3 years for us to redesign all the kitchens in a way where we could actually sweat the assets effectively. So Zorawar made a great point about designing it in such a way, and that is what we ended up doing. And now we are designing, and so that design really allowed us to scale and also onboard other partners onto our platform. So yeah, I think design makes all the difference, and sometimes you need to go back to the drawing board and start from there again.
Great point, Rahul. I completely agree with you. I think retrofitting an existing kitchen and a successful restaurant is very difficult to do. You have to either shut it down, which you can't afford because the revenue loss would be too big, and sometimes you just have space limitation. So retrofitting is harder. Designing from the scratch with that in mind is, I think, a better approach. I don't know if Harry-san is. Yeah, there he is. Welcome back, Harry-san.
Harry, can you hear us? He's gone.
So I have a question for you, Rahul. Obviously, you guys you've really gone through the length and breadth of the country. How has your response been in tier one versus tier two and tier three cities? And have you had to make price changes in your offerings in order to maintain order volumes in tier two and tier three cities?
Yeah, that's a great question, Zorawar. So, during the pandemic is where we really scaled up across tier two and tier three cities. So, in fact, to end of, before pandemic, we were in about 30 to 35 cities, and today we are in 80 cities. So, we took the time during the pandemic to scale up, and we had some surprising results. Tier two and tier three by no means are a small market. I think they have been underestimated for a long time, and we are seeing great results over there. Just to give you an example, one of our topmost Beirut's kitchens is a tier two kitchen, right? And it
The
was
one in
just in a
Patna, right?
matter of 3 months. Patna, yeah. So Patna is the number one Beirut's kitchen within a matter of 3 months. They are doing more sales than kitchens in the metro cities as well. And the surprising thing is we didn't have to do a price change. So, in tier two cities, there is a latent demand. There is a lack of great brands, and I think that is the next wave that is the next spike of growth. That is just waiting to happen. So, I think surely that would be a focus area in the future.
Raymond, what about I think you're also in multiple cities. How has your experience been in, one tier versus the other?
So we've mostly been in NCR and Bangalore only, Zorawar, but we've done Jaipur and Chandigarh. We've only seen mixes change. We've not changed prices. But for instance, in Rajasthan, we're seeing a lot more veg sales compared to what we see here in the north or in the south, right? So that gives us a better blended food cost in terms, because usually you're cross subsidizing a mutton product with some of the prices on the veg, right? So we see better margins there, but we've not done any price drops. We've kept it very much like a KFC and McDonald's, right? So one price across online, offline, and across cities. So he gets the same product at the same price. But anyway, we are not highly priced. We start our products at very low price, right? So we have a single serve entry product at 99, which is a veg product, right? So we are competing with that Burger King and Domino's kind of space. So our TG going less than 99 anywhere will not make sense for us also. So I think we are a different category. But otherwise, yeah, in the airport, in the IGI airport, we charge 15% more for offline. But otherwise, city-wise, we are not going to do any differential pricing when we go to other cities. We're going to go to Lucknow, Kanpur now soon. So I don't think we'll do too much of tinkering with the prices.
Very heartening to hear that from both you and from Rahul, because we followed a similar process for Parsi cafes. We're in about 12 Indian cities, and we'll be soon in 20, and we haven't really changed the pricing much. In fact, the number 1 and number 2 stores in the entire system of Parsi Cafe are Indore and Hyderabad, which are not tier 1 cities. And it's the length, people talk about the width of India. The width of India is fantastic, but there's also a lot of depth. I think India has these great tier 2 cities where there's a lot of pent up demand. There's a lot of, wealthy people, but they have no avenues in which to spend their wealth. So they come to the metros or they go overseas, and that's where they do all of that stuff. But good quality food should not be discounted. Good quality food should not, need to be reduced in price. But I also feel that democratized. I think great food should not be expensive. I think there should be value. And this is again why I hearken back to the point of the purity of the cloud business. The cloud business finally makes it possible for people like us to give quality food to the consumer, because the other overheads are smaller. In a restaurant with very high rent, with a large space, so many people working, it might not be possible to go below a certain price point. But the cloud offers the opportunity for us as creators, as artisanal, people, to create products that we would love to eat and then serve it at value to the Indian consumer. I think that's another aspect of the real beauty that we see in the cloud space, which is hard to do in the offline space.
So I think one question to you, Zorawar, is you have some great brands, right? So how does are they need not be necessarily delivery friendly, but you think that a Louis burger would taste better fresh out of the store versus it traveling for half an hour before reaching the customer, and how do you take care of that?
No doubt about it. Very good question. No doubt about it. You can't fight physics. Physics will take over. The crunch of a fried chicken burger will go down. You have it live. So I've done so many trials. We were working on Fuzzy Cafe 1.5 years. I went and did trials live, and I'm telling you, the product is just phenomenal, straight out. But we did a lot of research in the delivery aspect. So our bun, in fact, so the one thing that we did was we worked very hard on the bun, and the bun travels so well that it's actually softer when you eat it at home than it is when you eat it in the store. The rest of the stuff will if it's really hot and crispy and or it's cheese is just melting and has not become coagulated like cheese often tends to become, the fresher food will taste better. But we worked really hard, and we worked on the sauces, we worked on the packaging, we worked on the bun. We made the bun more porous so that when it's wrapped up in that paper, the steam actually goes into the pores and makes it softer. So when you reach it at home, it's actually softer than when you had it in the restaurant. But overall, in the kitchen, I mean. But overall, fresh food is fresh food. Harry-san was saying about sushi. I've been to some of the best sushi restaurants in Japan, and I'm telling you, when the chef puts that sushi with his hands onto the platform, you're supposed to waste not more than 2 seconds in eating it. It's that time sensitive. So the time sensitivity nature of great food will never change. Physics you can't fight. So that's why I said I'm never going to open a virtual store, because the gap will be
Oh,
easily
okay.
identified by the
Right.
guest. I'd rather just keep the virtual business virtual and keep the offline business offline.
That makes sense. Makes total sense.
We tried so hard with Farzi delivery, and people just didn't order. I mean, we're not able to do much delivery in Farzi Cafe because people have this perception of it being a, experiential brand, a brand where you must go and experience the molecular aspect and all that drama and that, you know, the presentation, which you can't do in delivery, no matter how hard you work. So delivery for Farzi Cafe has not been mega successful.
Right.
All right, so I believe there's some connection issue at Mr. Harry's end. So we will take some questions from the audience. First of all, thank you so much to all you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for such an insightful discussion. And we have a lot of questions coming in that we would want to address. So the first question asks, what is the role of software infrastructure needed and help us to serve? Anybody would like to take this question?
I think Rahul would be best suited for this.
Yeah, I think software is any sort of tech is really important for any business to scale up, right? Tech can be either in the form of a hardware which really helps kitchen operations, and the software is equally important, where you should be effectively you should be able to effectively manage your orders, your inventory, you know. Basically, which ends up delivering a great customer experience. So I think software infrastructure is very important, and in fact, that is what a lot of focus is on. Within Rebel, we are building software as a service, which through our years of experience, we are building something that would help other restaurants, right? So that's I think software infrastructure is of utmost importance right now. And
Yeah, just wanted to add to what Rahul is talking about. Within software play in infrastructure, certainly the marketing automation system that is being adopted is very core and key. While we are talking about cloud kitchen, right? Like there, any kind of customer engagement and communication which is happening on ongoing basis, right throughout the pre-purchase, purchase, and post-purchase scenarios. There has to be a clear way of right kind of communication channel which has been established through the marketing automation channel. And the choice of marketing automation channel should be made very wisely, because once you deploy a software and a system, it's very difficult to not create that adoption and get something else altogether new. It's a cultural shift which needs to be adopted. That is something important.
So Mr. Harry is back with us.
I'm back.
Yeah.
hi, welcome back, Aaron.
Um, I know that I'm the icing on the cake in this esteemed panel. So I'm sure you have had a great discussion for the last 15 minutes. I think we're just about over time now. So just some closing remarks from me. I thank you so much for a wonderful session. They said the world is the oyster, and I think there's a lot of potential for cloud kitchen business, not only in India and also in around the world. And it's great to hear collaborations between Rebel-san and Massive-san, for example. I think there's a lot of learnings that we have been able to hear from each other. And I really believe that the sky's the limit for cloud kitchens in India. And I wish each and every one of you and all of our listeners the very, very best in the weeks, the months, the years ahead. Maybe we can just end by each of one of you just maybe mentioning a few words in closing. Thank you.
I can say this, that the cloud has given a new lease of life to us I literally feel like a startup. Massive cloud is what we're going to call our cloud business, and it's going to be eventually distinguished from the offline space. We've actually even taken a space in a WeWork to have a totally different culture set for the online space. It's exciting times, and we feel like a startup. I feel like a 26-year-old right now. So that's what the cloud has done for me, and I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you, Zorawar-san.
Yeah, I
Abhimanyu-san?
think
A lot of traditional restaurateurs
You're
meant
on mute.
the. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Now
yeah, we
we
can
Okay,
hear.
great. So, I mean, cloud kitchens are here to stay. A lot
Yeah.
of traditional restaurateurs lament that why did cloud kitchens ever happen? But I think it's a reality. It sort of speaks to the current generation of instant gratification. It is a particular use case that it solves for. And I think as restaurateurs and future cloud kitchen owners, we need to sort of accept it and build our businesses which are optimized and conditioned for it rather than sort of trying to sort of wish it away or have some magic wand suddenly so remove the cloud kitchen from the equation. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Then here next, Raymond-san.
Yeah, I agree. We need to embrace the change and make the most of it. I think when we started the business, there were no such jobs like food bloggers and influencers. I think the world is changing fast. There was no Netflix and Amazon, so we have to be ready and adapt to the change. And I think if you are focused, it doesn't matter the model and the format you are in. Right, you want to build a food business, whether you do it in which category you decide to build it. Right, it depends on how the market is behaving, and you have to adapt quickly. I think we are very happy with the whole cloud business because it helps us scale very fast with very low capital. And all the best to all the people who are listening to this and probably dabbling whether or not to get into it. Right? I think keep your eye on the costs. This is a very low entry barrier model, so you might want to jump in doing a lot. So, but see that the model is right, because if you correct your model when you are at fewer restaurants, at 2 or 3, it's very easy to do, rather than when you become 15 or 20. Then changing your foundations becomes very difficult. Right? So, be a little watchful on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Rahul-san?
Yeah, I think cloud kitchens are here to stay. We have been in this business for a long time, and now we are enabling, we are helping others grow through the cloud kitchen route. And definitely industry stalwarts like, massive restaurants thinking about cloud in such a big way is a great validation of the cloud kitchen model. And I think it is set to explode in the coming few years. So definitely, keep at it is what I would say.
Thank you, Rahul-san. Ninad-san?
Yeah. So low capital, high scale, and lower entry barrier, right? This kind of model is bound to scale at any given point in time. Obviously, the industry stalwarts out here have put in their effort in terms of building, experimenting different kind of cuisine and categories for that matter. I'm sure in not only in geography like India, where there is larger acceptance and adoption which has happened because of the recent change and dynamics which have been there in last 2 3 years now. There's a sizable potential which others spoke about in terms of expanding it to other geographies. So I say cloud kitchen are here to stay, and the kind of customer engagement and experience which needs to be extended. There has to be a significant play which is required to be involved, and there could be right kind of ecosystem partner which needs to be adopted. Thank you.
Ninad-san, thank you so much. Is Jahaan-san there? Is he gone? Maybe not. Okay, so this brings to conversational menu, driving the future of cloud kitchen. Thank you so much for contributing your time and wonderful insights. I learned a lot. I think all of us learned a lot, and our listeners learned a lot. So wishing you all the very best, and just passing back to the anchor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Harry. It was a really insightful session today, and I thank you all for being here again. The chat box is filled with questions. There are a lot of questions coming in, so I know we are running a little over time. So, but I would still want to take a few of them. A couple of people have asked how to choose the right technology for my kitchen brand. Any insights on that, please?
I think,
I think Rahul, that's a
again,
good question.
yeah. So, like I said earlier, technology is in terms of hardware and software, right? Uh, Hardware, what we believe in is de-skilling, right? At Rebel, we believe that scale and skill are inversely proportional. So, the more you de-skill the processes in the kitchens, the higher the scalability. So, whenever you're going for equipments, right, the recommendation would be to look at an equipment which helps you cut down skilled labor in the kitchen, right? For example, we have built a machine called Woki, which is an automated wok. So we use that machine in kitchens for the brand Mandarin Oak. So we don't need to have a skilled Chinese chef processing every order, right? So that would be the kind of hardware to invest in. And secondly, in terms of software, whatever helps you manage the orders effectively, help you offer the best kind of customer experience, because ultimately, end of the day, that is what matters, right? Customer experience, and obviously, when it comes to profitability, your inventory management should be on point. So these are the three things in terms of software that I would say one should keep in mind while investing in software.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Also, there's another question, which is how is Gupshup helping the cloud kitchen businesses?
Okay, naturally I'll take that. Yeah, so Gupshup is a classic CPaaS platform and leading one, and we certainly believe that conversational commerce, conversational messaging certainly plays an important role in cloud kitchen. Uh, because of the last 3 years, that entire of the geography that we work in has gone through pandemic and still facing a lot of challenges in terms of how the business should be navigated and consumer engagement and experience should be extended. Gupshop has been playing a pivotal role out here in terms of making sure that each of the cloud kitchen entities which are there in the ecosystem are able to get the right kind of business APIs to engage with the end consumers on a channel of preference of communication of their own consumers per se. So we have been extending our platform to all the cloud kitchens. In fact, I must say that we have already got Order Direct channel, which has got more than 5,000 restaurants, which are not restaurants, I would say, cloud kitchens, which are already working on that particular platform, which is far more innovative. It's there on a proprietary platform called JIP that we have extended to them, where the consumers can simply place an order through a conversational messaging layer. The other thing which we have innovated in this space is a WhatsApp commerce for restaurant, uh,
Mosugo.
which also is typically the cloud kitchens which are taking an extension help in terms of making sure that the digital menu is available on superior chat channel like say WhatsApp for consumers to place an order and get the entire order to post purchase experience completely on WhatsApp as a channel itself. So there is a lot of innovation that we are doing it at WhatsApp at Gupshop's platform saying leveraging on the popular communication channels and giving an extended experience for conversational layer to the consumers of cloud kitchens.
Thank you. Also, I guess we can all agree that cloud kitchens are here to stay. One very common question that I see here is what is the competition going to be like, especially when we talk about the Indian market in reference to cloud kitchens? If we talk about the coming year, 2023, 24. Any takes on that, please?
I think the competition is only going to increase, but there's also going to be a lot of automatic cleansing. Um, you know, the cream always rises to the top. So it is kind of a little bit of a gold rush scenario going on with the cloud business right now. I would suggest entrepreneurs that are trying to get into it to get into it for the right reasons. Don't get into it because everybody else is doing it. The food business is a passion business. It's a passion play. It's not a 9 to 5 role. I have a friend, a young friend in Bombay, who used to run gyms. He left the gym business, started cloud kitchens, and is a perfect estimate, as a perfect example of when you get into something, get into it for the right reasons. So he thought he'll hire chefs. He thought he will be able to build these cloud kitchens, and he runs pizzas and burgers, I think. And that day I was in Bombay about a week ago, and literally I got a call from him at, I think it was 12 a.m. And he was wearing a hairnet, saying, "Why are you wearing a hairnet?" He was actually in his cloud kitchen alone at night at 12 o'clock making orders because his chef got sick and couldn't make it. So get into it for the right reasons. It's not just it's not something that's that simple. There are a lot of complexities. It has to be your career choice. It has to be something that you're willing to devote a lot of time to. And I think that's where you're going to see the good and professional players and the real passionate players, more than even professional, the passionate players surviving and thriving and growing. There will be a lot of, so many times my friends on this panel have said that barriers to entry are very low, much lower than a restaurant space. But get into it for the right reasons and the money will follow.
Absolutely. I think that was very well explained. I think we have time for one more question. We can take just one more question. So the last question is, what are the things, the metrics to consider while buying a cloud kitchen franchisee? Now, what are the things
Anything
to
else?
consider?
Are we okay? Shall we
Am I
call it a
audible?
day?
Now you're audible.
Hello.
I think you missed the first half of your question. Yeah.
All right, so we'll just take one more question. A lot of people have been asking, what are the things to consider? What are the metrics to consider before buying a cloud kitchen franchisee? Any takes on that?
I guess the brand and the
I
payback.
think we lost the anchor
Payback would be the only metric, and of course the brand which has the sort of
as well.
the right kind of infrastructure in place for you to sort of so that they can transfer the knowledge, etc., etc. Which it's not really specific to any cloud kitchen, but any franchising that sort of one undertakes has to be a function of the payback that one gets and whether the brand has the equity and the value to actually do what it needs to do.
Absolutely. I think with this, we have come to the end of today's discussion. I would once again like to thank all of you for such an insightful and informative session. Thank you for being here with us today. And now we have a small video from Gupshup on how they are helping restaurants to scale up their business. So if we could have the video, please.
If you run a restaurant today, you want loyal customers ordering regularly and directly from you. No commission payouts. Ordering now has to be contactless, visual, interactive, and easy for home delivery and in-house dining. You need to use customer data to make personalized offers and employ fewer staff by making smart investments in automation. Sounds hard, right? It doesn't have to be. Introducing Gupshup for restaurants. Gupshup enables you to improve restaurant revenue, customer experience, and profitability. With Gupshup, you can build an interactive ordering system with a digital menu that works on any phone. Gupshup also connects you with delivery services and e-wallets for payments and enables feedback too. You can design personalized campaigns and send offers via SMS, WhatsApp, and other channels. You can trigger the same experiences of physical surfaces like tables or walls. All you need is a QR code. And all this needs no coding or app. Let's see how it works. You send a WhatsApp message from your own WhatsApp number with the weekend specials to a segment of your weekend customers. Sonali clicks on the link and browses through the interactive menu. She chats with you to customize her order and pays with a wallet. After delivery, you send her another message with a feedback link, which she fills out in seconds. Jahaan visits your restaurant after seeing your offer. He scans a QR code, orders, pays, and gives his feedback via the same system. Gupshup for restaurants is easy to set up and helps you boost revenue. Grow your restaurant business with Gupshup. Just scan this QR code to sign up.
So with this, we've come to the conclusion of this enriching virtual event on Conversational Menu, driving the future of cloud kitchens. Thank you again. Today we have had the opportunity to enlighten ourselves on what future holds for the cloud kitchen industry and how innovation and technology will be playing a vital role in building a sustainable and long-lasting brand. Cloud kitchens are a force to be reckoned with in the F&B space, and their recognition and hold on market share is something not to be surprised of. One thing we certainly can say that cloud kitchens have been a lifesaver when it comes to satisfying hunger pangs. I hope you all enjoyed today's session, and we really look forward to your continued support. Thank you so much for being a part of the virtual event on Conversational Menu, driving the future of cloud kitchen, organized by Gupshup and managed by Industry Live. Thank you once again.